Hello, everybody. It's Sal. It's me, Sal. Um, it's been a while since I uploaded a video. Um, I've been working on a commission, a painting commission. That's been taking up most of my time. Well, actually, two paintings. I finished one, and I'm working on a really big one. I'm working on the Last Supper for somebody special, and I'm getting pretty close to finishing it. Well, I got the majority of the canvas painted, but I think I'm at the most tedious parts, where I'm painting I'm painting Jesus and his robes and apostles and the table. There's a bunch of details on the table, like plates and food and cups and all that other good stuff. So this is I'm doing a drawing. I think this is the first time I recorded something off of my desktop. I do a lot of digital paintings and drawings and digital sculpting too, like with ZBrush and Maya and Blender. But I haven't, for my videos, I didn't figure out how to capture video on my desktop until I decided to do this project, this sketch, and I wanted to use Windows Paint. I have Windows 7 still, and I refuse to upgrade. Mostly because I can't afford Windows 10. And let's see. I never really tried out Windows 7 Paint. I already had Photoshop, and so never really needed to use Paint. So but I was like curious how different it was, or how it looked. Like it's really a nostalgic feeling going back to Paint, because I remember I remember back in when Paint was in Windows 3.1, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever back then, because before that, the only thing that was available was pen and pencil and paper. But this Windows Paint was like, wow, it was pixelated. There wasn't any, it wasn't smooth like how Photoshop is now, or Photoshop was, like, I tried a version of Photoshop that was on a black and white computer, back in the 90s. I don't know when Photoshop first came out, but I took a printing and technologies class when in my senior year in high school, and that's the first time I ever used Photoshop. and I was blown away by that program. I loved it, but I got a copy of it later on, and I used that one quite a bit. But like paint, I had this. Paint was pretty cool, you know. I had Windows 3.1 and Windows 90. Was it 1. No, it was 3.1, and then later on when I had a different computer when I was a kid, when my parents got like a different computer, it was custom made, and we got Windows 95, and then Windows 98. I don't know if we had Windows 95, but then I know that I had Windows 98, and I tried the paint on that, and it wasn't much different from what I can remember. It wasn't that much different from Windows 3.1. Like, they don't. I think I remember thinking, oh, they don't really do anything. Like, just, repeat the same paint program. But it comes with the operating system. So there's no. I guess there isn't really any point in. I mean, there's probably more colors that they included in the operating system in that version of Paint, but it was still basically the same thing. But trying Windows 7's Paint, I never tried it until I decided to make this drawing of Godzilla, and I have a tablet, a Wacom tablet, and that I use for Photoshop, and I thought, well, maybe it will work for Paint. Let's see what happens. And then I discovered, oh, they have all these brushes. They have a crayon brush, they have a colored pencil brush, they have ink brush. I can't remember what the other ones were, but I was thinking, oh wow, this is like, it's kind of like drawing with Photoshop. It's the way that the brushes behave on the canvas. It's almost like pencil and paper. But I see it more like simulating drawing with charcoal. It's like with a charcoal pencil, or just a vine charcoal, which is nice. It's it gives it more of a natural, like not so pixelated feeling, and feels like a real like traditional, like closer to traditional 2D art, Yeah, I did have Windows Vista for a short period of time on a computer that died that didn't last that long. So I didn't have, I don't remember trying Paint on Vista, so I don't know if it had the same features as 7. So there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that's Windows 7's Paint the way you can draw. It's smoother. Um, it's like anti-aliasing, which the other Windows 3.1 and 98 didn't have, as far as I can remember. I had some trouble with the lasso tool, or not the lasso, the selection tool. It kept on, while I was making this drawing, it kept on snapping back and forth, and I had to redo, undo. I mean, it's good. It's a good program to draw with if you have a tablet, but it has some issues. At first, I was able to switch between the first and second color with the press of the one of the buttons on the pen, but then the program Paint just decided, nope, you can't do that anymore for some reason. And every time I tried to switch, like the first color simulates the left click, and then if you press the right button on the mouse, you can draw with the second color. I think that's how the setup was. But for the pen, I set up a button where you can press a button and it'll simulate pressing, doing right clicks, like with the mouse. But it wasn't doing it. It wasn't making any marks, and I have no clue why it was working. It was working, and then all of a sudden it decided not to work anymore. I never understood. It never worked again. I don't know what happened. But I had to, just move the cursor all the way up, and then select a different color. It wasn't a big deal, but it just messed with my workflow. Let's see. Well, I started drawing Godzilla. This drawing of Godzilla before I seen the new trailer, the 2019 trailer that's going to come out next year. I'm really excited. I like watching YouTube videos. That's like my major mode of entertainment, and one of the suggested videos was Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters, and I saw it, and then I was, I didn't click on it. I wasn't interested at first. I liked the 2014 Godzilla movie. I thought it was great. Other people said, I've heard, a lot of people say that Godzilla didn't get enough screen time. And, he didn't, but I read somewhere that they wanted to make it like, Jaws, or one of the classic monster movies where there's a build up and you hardly see the monster up until the end or later on. And I understand that, like, I can appreciate that direction that they had with that movie. There's such a thing called less is more, and I don't know. People just want like what they want, and they just want it like over the top as much as they can get it. But like like some art, there is such a thing as less is more, and they did it in an artistic way. I felt I didn't have a problem with it, that much of a problem with it. I was disappointed that the only disappointing thing was that they killed off the Bryan Cranston character. I don't remember his character's name, but I was hoping that he would continue on as in upcoming films with this series. There was there's other points about that movie that I liked. I liked how they there's two versions of Godzilla. There's Godzilla that's like a force of nature that's just destructive. Like, he has one mission is to feed on something like nuclear power, or he's just like passing by and he happens to like tear everything apart. And then there's the other Godzilla where he's like the hero of humanity. And those tend to be the more goofy ones, like the 1970s films, which I enjoyed when I was a kid. Every chance that my parents took me to the video store, I looked at the tapes, the VHS tapes, and asked if they would buy me a movie, a Godzilla movie. So I had a collection. I don't know where my tapes are. They're probably stored somewhere, but and my memory is not. I don't have a photographic memory. I'm not really known for my memory, so I can't really. There's bits and pieces that I remember from the movies that I had. Like, I had Godzilla versus King Kong. The only thing that I can remember from that movie is that, at a certain point, they had like, they had actors in the rubber suits, but at a certain point, they had like they were fighting in the foreground, no, in the background, and they were like hand puppets. I don't know if anybody. I think that's what. I think that's what they did. Like, they had these puppets that these hand puppets, little hand puppets that were fighting in the background, which was kind of hilarious, and it was so cheesy that I couldn't watch it. It was kind of disappointing, but let's see. I had Godzilla versus Megalon. I think that's how you pronounce it. And on the cover, Godzilla and Megalon are standing on top of a skyscraper, and that was the first appearance of Jet Jaguar. And I think that the the inventor of Jet Jaguar was like some kind of he was an inventor, and he made like toys, or like deluxe toys. Like in the beginning, I don't know if it was his son, but he had a little boy. There was a little boy, and he was testing out one of his inventions. Like he was in this little paddle boat, and he was just like paddling all around this little pond or something. Anyway, the voice actor for that little kid, it was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of funny the way he talked. But yeah, that was pretty cool. They had Jet Jaguar in there, and let's see. I had Godzilla versus a sea monster, which was like a crab-looking thing, or a lobster. No, it was a crab, and I think that was the first Godzilla movie that I ever owned. I can't remember what else happened in that movie, but yeah, I think that was the first one I ever got. Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, so like anybody growing up in the 80s and 70s, and if you're a fan of Godzilla, it was my generation's Pokemon. I don't know if anybody else can, has made that connection yet, but like, you have all these monsters, and they come out with new ones, and they all fight like this battle, and it's like, it's pretty much the same formula as Pokemon. I don't know if Godzilla and the Monster Island was like Pokemon influence or inspiration, but I can imagine so if you think about it, But so it made Godzilla means a lot to me growing up. That's my childhood. So seeing the I saw the 1998 attempt at Godzilla. There's a lot of people who hated that movie. I liked it. It was America's attempt at making a decent, like trying to make a decent Godzilla movie. I appreciated it. I appreciated it for what it was. I just didn't like the characters. They were just so annoying. Like the dialogue between the characters. It was just hard to, like, I saw it in the movies, and I didn't mind it, but like I can't watch it. It's just it's so hard to watch those moments where they're talking, and they're just ridiculous, But like the action was cool, I don't know. I bought the VHS tape of that movie anyway, but 2014 Godzilla I liked, because I think also it was Godzilla was a nod to the old movies. It was like a cross between both versions of Godzilla, Force of Nature and the Savior of Humanity. I mean, there was this one scene where um, they were on the, I think it was at this bridge. I don't know if it was the Golden Gate Bridge. It was this bridge that spanned over the ocean or something, and there was like a school bus going through, and there was Godzilla, and I think the uh, airplanes were like shooting missiles or something, and those missiles were about to hit that school bus, but Godzilla just happened to walk by and block those missiles. And I was like, oh, like I was thinking, it wasn't intentional, but it was a nod to what Godzilla was in those movies where he was the savior of humanity, And he didn't attack the humans, he didn't attack the people in 2014, but he also did a lot of damage, so it was a mixture between both, and I appreciated that aspect, that they covered both of those versions of Godzilla. And so I mean, if you're a fan of Godzilla and you were like a bit iffy about 2014 and you think about that scene, maybe you can, have a change of heart about the way you felt about 2014. It was a decent film, and I saw Skull Island, and I was so excited at the end. I knew that there was some additional footage at the end after the credits, and they didn't disappoint. And so I was pretty excited when I saw that. And let's see. And the trailer for the 2019. Oh boy. I watched so many reaction videos for the Godzilla King of the Monsters, and just seeing all those monsters. There's Rodan, there's King Ghidorah, and Mothra, Rodan. I think I said Rodan. Anyway, it was. I love the music that they chose. Claire de Lune. I didn't know the name of that song or that piece, and but I through the comment section, people said what it was, but it was beautiful. I like this. I like that music because I felt that it was like a lullaby for all the Godzilla fans, all the all the Godzilla fans, the old school Godzilla fans, it was a lullaby for the kids and me and everybody else who enjoyed those characters, those monsters back then, because that's when we enjoyed them, when I was a kid, and it was like an emotional. It made it more emotional, and like it felt like as if I was in my room with my plastic Godzilla action figure and all the other toys that I used to play with, and just like as if they came to life, took me on this big adventure. That's what the music kind of made me feel. I don't know about anybody else, but then, like, as it progresses, the music swells, and they take you on this big adventure, and I loved how they didn't deviate too far from the original design of the monsters. I wasn't sure about Mothra. I was like, how? I knew that I saw an image of Mothra at the end of Skull Island, and I was thinking, how are they gonna? Because, like, Mothra's wings are so thin, and how is that gonna work? But they made it work, and I was really excited when I saw King Ghidorah, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. That's how I always pronounced it, that monster's name. But when I saw the silhouette of that monster in the background, I was like they stuck with it. Anyway, that's all the time that I have. So thank you for watching my video. Leave a comment.